Welcome to Fieldsports Britain, and you find me happily in a hide waiting for duck in North Devon. Coming up in the programme, we're learning to shoot rifles straighter. We're having a look at Christmas kit. First, let's go ferreting in Kent. If you're into field sports, there are loads of things that you can get your teeth into. Sometimes it's healthy to break free of your comfort zone and try something different. The natural habitat of the large carnivore Mark Gilchrist is the pigeon hide with his semi-auto by his side. But this year he's decided to stretch his legs a bit and get some exercise. Instead of jumping up and down behind some twigs scaring woodies, he's bought himself some nets and some ferrets.
We've come to a friend's farm and we're going to go out and do some ferreting. So I've got 4 of mine, Kai's got 3 of his. We've got some long nets, we've got some purse nets and we've got shotguns. So in an ideal world we'll use long nets because it's quicker, simpler and just as effective. If we can't use long nets because the ground's not flat enough, we'll use purse nets, and if we can't get any nets in at all, we'll hopefully bolt the rabbits and I'll shoot them with a shotgun.
Tell me about the ferrets you got.
I've got 3 gills, 4 gills even. We've got 1 that's a little bit naughty and bites and 3 that are really good, so only if I get desperate I'm going to use the darker coloured one. I've had them, this is their first season, they're picking it up all right. This is my first season ferreting as well, so both of us are learning together.
We're out on a misty morning on farmland near his base in Kent. There is a serious rabbit problem and feral pigeon problem, but let's deal with the rabbits first. The warren is a good size. Mark and his friend Kai come up with a plan.
So we've got a hedge there. We can't get long nets through the hedge because otherwise I'll get tangled. It's going to be a real pain to go in and purse net under the hedge where it's really thick. So we're going to put a long net, a double thickness long net across here, okay, and some purse nets over there, and I'm going to stand with a shotgun. So the idea being that as they come out, I'm going to see you and they think, oh no, we don't want that. Hopefully they'll run through the fence into the long net and Kai's going to hide behind the fence. So that's the plan. I'm sure it's all going to go wrong and not going to work, but that's what we're going to try.
There's some big warrens around here, some big holes, so they're obstructed by some brambles and things like that. It's a bit of a challenge really. There's a big one down there I'm trying to do now. I've done a couple across there, so yeah, try and get on with it and see how far I can get.
Mark has found the ferrets easy to look after, but stresses they have to be handled from an early age. Understanding the basics of netting has also been quite straightforward for him.
Yeah, you've got to really look after the nets. I got my nets from Bryn, who does all the long netting demonstrations and ferreting demonstrations for Ian Hartford at the Countryman Fairs. And this system's very good really. I mean, I picked it up very quickly.
Ferreting has proved to be not only useful in giving him a regular supply of rabbits, but it's also good for the soul. Which is a good thing, as the last thing you want is to get your knickers in a twist with hundreds of yards of netting.
I enjoy the whole process, I find it relaxing. It's it's like being on a beach, you see, nothing happens. No, it's not that labour intensive. You get quick at it, don't you? You get quick at pulling the nets in, and good day's ferreting you'd expect to get, 2 dozen would be nice. But you can ferret, there's a bit more of a knack, a bit more of a skill to ferreting, especially with using long nets. It's obviously a skill I haven't mastered, otherwise we'd have some more rabbits on the deck.
Patience is also important. As with many field sports, you win some, you lose some, and you can't help feeling you might be in the wrong place at the wrong time. To break the calm, Mark spots a wood pigeon and he reverts to type. You can take the man out of the pigeon hide, etc, etc. As with pigeon shooting, we move on, but then we get one and Mark lands in some nettles in his determination to grab it.
Right, got him. Nettles.
At least with a couple in the bag, including one he got before we turned up, Mark can show us his preferred methods of dispatching rabbits.
There's 2 ways of killing a rabbit. The best way to do it, grab hold of the rabbit's head like that and its legs, and stretch it out, and then bend with your fingers, and you'll feel it go crunch. Now you can't do that when it's in a long net like this. So what you want to do, because it's all tangled up, imagine like that. I push his head through a piece of netting so it's completely clear, and just twist it, and you'll feel it go crunch, and then you know his rabbit's dead. Then you can untangle it without any fear of it getting away. The other thing you can do is, some people do a karate chop like that. Well, if you have a good day's ferreting, you're going to end up hurting your hand, so I wouldn't recommend that. Get a priest, that's quite a good way of doing it. You know, a little piece of wood that long with a metal weight on the end, and just go bang, crunch him on the head, and it'll flinch and stop moving.
With the sun now showing itself, Mark heads back to the farmyard to see if the feral pigeons that are making too many deposits in the barn are about. He's already taken 9 first thing this morning. He might be able to get another 3.
Hopefully 3 shots, 3 pigeons, which you never do on camera. You always do it when no one's looking, as soon as the camera going. So I'm just going to creep up to them, and it's not going to be, you know, Fieldsports Channel's most sporting, you know, adventure of the year. Let's see what we can do. I'm just going to walk up, and as soon as they jump, I'm going to shoot them. And if they don't jump, I'll just shoot them on the roof.
It's not been a very productive morning, but Mark is really enjoying his new sport, and maybe we should all leave our comfort zones and give something new a go once in a while. We're on a long-range shooting course with bangs, bucks and bullseyes.
So next we're going to talk about the sitting position, which is a very strong, stable position that is really very unpopular actually in this country. Most people don't seem to like it at all. I think because of the tension that you can get in the legs, which causes shake. So there's lots of different ways of sitting, and some of it depends on whether you're a down slope or up slope and flat ground, etc. But just to show you some of the variants. One of the variants that is very popular, if you do use sitting and quite stable, is cross your legs if you can. Crossing your legs and using these as your shooting platform. So you have your elbow in the flat part here, your flat to your elbow, and again rear arm support. If you have this hovering, you'll pivot around your front arm. So always take the pivot out, 45 degrees to the target, arms on, locked in, and perfectly stable shooting position. The foundations stay the same. Breathing, trigger control, follow through. Don't try to stay in the position too long, you may get fatigued. Make sure that your weight is down on your feet. If you're trying to hold your legs like this, you will get shake. So again, bone support, not muscle support. Bone support, not muscle support. So that's one variant. Second variant, especially if you're downhill, you get your legs a bit dug in, and you actually use your leg to support your arm, to take the tension out of your bicep. So your forearm is supported on your thigh, and that takes the weight out of the equation for your rifle. And again, your rear knee is supporting your rear elbow. And in this position, this leg is key, but you shouldn't be using muscle tension again. Your forearm supported by your thigh, which is dug into the ground, nice and low. Same principles, breathing, trigger control, stock well, follow through, nice and steady. Natural respiratory pause. This is without sticks. The one that I personally like, which is a bit awkward in times for some people, is you turn your knees into a bench. This is a bit easier if you're slightly higher than your legs, but you can put your legs up like this and put your arms around your knees like this. You have no tension in you, and your knees become your bench. So you wrap your arms around your legs, and you're effectively using the top of your knee is like a flat bench. I find this very stable. It might look a little bit awkward, but it's a very helpful longer range position. Okay, so those are without sticks. Those are my preferred sitting positions. With sticks, suddenly we've taken the weight out of the equation, and all we need to do, as we said before, again 45 degrees to the target, is we need to take the pivot out of the equation. The pivot being around this point here. So we use our rear leg, get that rear arm locked down and supported onto the target. Rock solid. You can sit like this for hours, especially against a tree, so you're not, your back muscles are relaxed. Bit of elevation, waiting for your fox to come across his run or the deer to cross the field that you know they've got to traverse. Long range, lovely position. Stay there for hours. Same principles apply. So that's sitting, with and without sticks, and the variants of. Very effective, worth practicing.
Christmas time is nearly here. How jolly. And togged up in my Rivers West camo, there's absolutely no way this is going to fit me. But I do know somebody it is going to fit. Father Christmas is hard at it, keeping his elves in order and working out what to give all the little boys and girls. Now, ask a loved one into the room and sit them down to watch this film. It's our guide to the perfect Christmas shooting stocking with help from that most unlikely Santa, doyen of the gun trade, Doug Florent from the Oxford Gun Company.
Probably the most boring present you're ever going to be given is a pair of socks. But that's all changed now. We sell hundreds and hundreds of pairs of shooting socks every year because now they're not boring anymore. You've got all the different patterns on them, and it's amazing how many people now have half a dozen pairs of socks with different patterns on. Tassels, these are not just for looks. With modern boots, socks tend to get dragged underneath as you walk along, and these are so that you can keep your socks up, so the elasticated bits at the back keep your socks up, stop them getting dragged under your boots. Ideal stocking filler. Sell a hell of a lot of ties at Christmas, all with the varying game themes on them, pheasants, partridges, ducks and so on. Again, ideal stocking fillers, not expensive, but ideal for the shooting man. Probably the best seller of all is what is now called a grip stick. It's for picking up empty cartridges, and it appeals to absolutely everybody. People buy them for gamekeepers, people buy them for taking with you when you're on your peg. Most shoots now like you to tie you up afterwards. 2 seconds, pick your cartridges up with that, perfect. Clay shooters like them, scorers like them. Probably the best selling product that we've had. So simple, we use them all the time. Now that was last year's model. Like everything else, things move on. The new model is a grip stick seat. So we have the magnet on the bottom for picking cartridges up, but we also have a seat with it so you can sit down. Okay, so what to get for the lady? Probably one of the most popular things that we sell are these fleeces. They're made by a firm called Sealand, who now have got them in ladies' colours. They come in all sorts of mauves and greens and olives, and you can go from small to large. But what's quite nice about those, if you want to be really trendy, you can even buy them for the children. So you can dress your children to match your wife and your husband and goodness knows what else. But again, I do little Christmas presents for youngsters. We do breeks, we do coats, shooting coats, ideal presents so you can look like dad when you're shooting. Right, probably the one product that has got us in trouble more than anything else are these by Hackler, and they're leather waistcoats with a fur collar. We have sold hundreds of these over the last 2 or 3 years. We always put them right by the door because as soon as ladies see these, they fall in love with them. This year they've gone a step further and they've brought out the same with arms.
Christmas is not all clothes and shooting accessories. Here is top photographer Caroline Hyman, who's turned her attention to shooting and has brought out a sumptuous book about a year in the life of a driven shoot.
people have said to me, since I did another book at the turn of the millennium on the Hambledon Valley and the people and the places there, they said, well, would you ever do a book on shooting? And my husband has quite a lot of American friends that have said, what is driven shooting and how does it work, and how can you explain it? So this is how this book came about, really. It's trying to explain what driven shooting is in photographs.
So what's the link between the Hambledon Valley and shooting? How do you get...
Well, there are a lot of shoots in the Hambledon Valley. There's about, I suppose this book is, I covered about 7 or 8 shoots in the area and the Stoner Valley as well.
So you've got that sort of scarp. Is it the Chilterns?
Yeah, it's the Chilterns.
They're quite high birds.
Yeah, quite high birds, absolutely. And one shoot on the Surrey and Sussex borders I did as well. But anyway, it was really to tell the story of driven shooting for people that didn't necessarily understand how it worked, from the planting of the game crops in the spring right through until the end of the year.
So not just standing around going pop pop?
No, not at all. I didn't want to do that, and I wanted very much to concentrate on the behind the scenes and the people that make it possible, like the beaters, the keepers, the dog handlers, the picker-ups, those people, to tell their story and why they are involved with shooting and how much they enjoy it and their livelihoods that are derived from it and so forth, and the effect on conservation as well.
Do you know shooting quite well yourself?
Well, I grew up my father was a massive shooter and used to shoot all the time, and my brother. So I grew up in that kind of shooting environment, both in the south and in Scotland. In Scotland it was stalking and grouse, but in the south it was pheasant. So I did grow up doing that. So I used to go out and pick up and walk around with the gun. So I've always been involved with it. In a studio I can control my printing, my lighting and everything, whereas this was much quicker. And I didn't have any control over the weather, and I was out in rain and snow and it was cold and wet, but and you had to be much quicker as well.
For a present that really won't fit in a stocking, Chris Payne of Cotswold ATV sells Polaris quad bikes to grown-ups and to children. Chris, I'm torn between which of these vehicles I can ask Father Christmas for. Could you try and tell me which one I should get?
Well, it depends whether you're a big kid or you need a big vehicle to do the job properly.
Right, yes, probably a bit of both there. This one you're leaning on looks particularly impressive. What's this one?
This is the new diesel machine. We have an option of petrol, electric and now diesel.
And economical?
Yep, the diesel engine, obviously you can run it on red if you're allowed to. But yeah, they're set up for work and they're a very good, purposeful machine.
How much will Father Christmas have to...
Well, for the diesel machine, you're looking at about £12,500, including the VAT.
Now, this red one, this is also a Polaris. This looks much more my thing.
This is certainly the sporty number. They do this in this side, which is really aimed at the children, but we still get to play with them. And then they do a full-size version as well for the daddy that really wants to go fast.
How fast does this go?
Fully de-restricted, you're looking about 20 mile an hour. So it's fast enough to have some fun, but at the same point it's still sensible. It's really aged at sort of the 12 plus age group. So they're competent with the sort of the braking, accelerating and obviously keeping themselves safe.
Good. And then how much would Daddy and Mummy have to pay for this one?
About £3,500 including the VAT.
So they'd really have to love the children, wouldn't they?
Well, at the end of the day it comes with 2 free crash helmets, so they get a good deal.
Now, children in the room, you must look away. Naughty old Rudolph has run off. Luckily, Father Christmas knows what to do.
Oh. Merry Christmas.
For a copy of Portrait of a Shoot by Caroline Hyman, visit www.carolinehymanphotos.co.uk. For a Polaris to spice up your Boxing Day, talk to Chris at Cotswold ATV or visit www.cotswoldatv.co.uk. And if you like the look of any of the clothing and shooting accessories at the Oxford Gun Company, or you have a problem reindeer you want sorted out, go to www.oxfordguncompany.co.uk. There you are. New Lapland camo. If none of those Christmas presents quite fit your stocking, here's a couple of ideas from our own DVD collection. Since starting Fieldsports Channel, we've been lucky enough to go out with some exceptional stalkers and film some incredible deer. We've chosen the best of the bunch and are releasing our first deer stalking DVD just in time for Christmas. A year of deer, 12 months, 6 species. It's stuffed with great advice and great stories. There's the fallow stalk with the added excitement of an aggressive dog walker throwing abuse as we take out an injured buck. Rugby league legend Kieran Cunningham describes his first red as being better than scoring at Wembley, and he should know. There's also a masterclass in calling in those roebucks and gralloching a Chinese water deer. It amounts to more than an hour and a half of some of the best action in the field, and for just £12.99. Go to the new shop page on the front of the www.fieldsportschannel.tv website to order in time for Christmas. Also in the shop you'll find our collaboration with sporting shooter editor James Marchington. In Pigeons the Expert's Way, we talk you through hide building, decoys with Andy Pye, and see how to prepare that huge bag of birds with game chef Mark Gilchrist. This is now available at a reduced price of just £12.99, including postage and packing, down from £17.95. Finally, we can announce the release of Foxing with Robert Bucknell and James Marchington. In this new DVD, Robert gives us a fascinating insight into an animal he's dedicated his life to understanding, enjoying and controlling. From calls to lamps, rifles, shotguns and ammo, an incredible range in mid-Wales where we test ourselves and our equipment, and going out after this most cunning of quarry, it's 90 minutes of tips, techniques and action in daylight and at night for just £19.95, available from our online shop and from www.sportingshooter.co.uk. Well, you've got to buy one of those. So much better than Avatar. We're back next week. This has been Fieldsports Britain, a kind of Strictly Come Shooting